The most transformative moment in cryptocurrency history didn't come with a dramatic market crash or a sudden price surge. Instead, it arrived quietly, almost unnoticed, in the hallowed halls of the US Capitol. While the world watched charts and headlines, a single vote set the stage for a new era. For over a decade, digital assets thrived in a wild west of innovation. Startups launched overnight, fortunes were made and lost, and the promise of blockchain technology seemed limitless. But beneath the excitement, regulatory uncertainty cast a long shadow. Entrepreneurs hesitated, investors second-guessed, and the industry's true potential was held back by a lack of clear rules. The central question haunted everyone: are digital assets securities, commodities, or something entirely new? With every new token and platform, the lines blurred further, leaving innovators and regulators alike searching for answers. Without those answers, every breakthrough was tinged with risk. Founders worried that a single regulatory decision could undo years of work. Investors wondered if their bets would be wiped out overnight. The uncertainty stifled ambition and kept the industry on edge. Then, on July 17, 2025, everything changed. The date is now etched in the history of finance, a turning point that will be remembered for generations. The U.S. House passed the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, H.R. 955, by a decisive, bipartisan vote. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle came together, recognizing the urgent need for a modern framework that could keep pace with technological change. This wasn't just another bill making its way through Congress. It was a bold declaration. The era of ambiguity and confusion was finally over. The United States was ready to lead, not lag, in the digital economy. For the first time, the U.S. moved to formally recognize and integrate digital assets into its financial system. The markets, long desperate for clarity, finally received the guidance they needed to move forward with confidence. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper on shifting sands, never knowing if the ground beneath you would hold. That's been the reality for the crypto industry for more than a decade, with every new project facing the risk of regulatory quicksand. The Clarity Act, together with the Genius Act for stablecoins, finally provides the first solid ground. These laws lay out clear definitions, responsibilities, and protections, giving innovators and investors the confidence to build for the long term. It's the foundation for a mature, globally competitive digital asset market, one that can attract capital, talent, and ideas from around the world. The U.S. is now positioned to set the standard for digital finance. This legislation marks the end of the beginning for crypto in the U.S. The experimental phase is over. The era of real, regulated growth has begun. It signals a transition from speculative fringe to a legitimate, recognized asset class. Financial advisors, institutions, and everyday Americans can now participate with greater confidence and security. Now, a new wave of growth, adoption, and innovation can finally begin. Entrepreneurs can dream bigger, knowing the rules of the road. Developers can build with certainty, and users can trust that their assets are protected. The rules are here, and the future is wide open. For digital assets, this is not just a new chapter, it's a new dawn. The Clarity Act draws unmistakable lines in the sand, ending the SEC and CFTC's tug-of-war over digital assets. It designates the CFTC as the primary regulator for digital assets functioning as commodities, a monumental policy shift. For years, the crypto industry played a game with two referees, each calling conflicting fouls. Now, the confusion ends. The bill's strong bipartisan support shows lawmakers recognize the importance of fostering innovation while protecting consumers. With executive branch backing, the Senate is expected to act soon. The journey isn't over, but the destination is finally in sight. The Clarity Act is poised to become law, ready to redefine the future. For the crypto industry, it's no longer a distant dream, it's almost reality. For the XRP community, the Clarity Act is vindication. Years of legal battles and uncertainty are over. XRP is now explicitly classified as a commodity. This permanent legislative definition removes it from SEC jurisdiction and unlocks its future potential. Financial institutions and payment providers can now engage with XRP without legal risk. Developers gain stability to build, exchanges simplify compliance, and holders finally have certainty. The existential threat is gone. Practical adoption can begin. The journey from potential unregistered security to legislatively defined commodity is transformative. XRP's rebirth in the world's most important market is complete. The path is clear for growth and innovation. The Clarity Act's Safe Harbor provision offers comprehensive protection for all XRP transactions, past, present, and future, effectively shielding participants from SEC enforcement actions. This unprecedented legal clarity marks a turning point for the entire digital asset ecosystem, providing a sense of security that was previously missing. This retroactive legal shield doesn't just protect investors, it actively rebuilds trust and confidence across the market. For the first time, both institutional and retail participants can engage in XRP transactions without the looming threat of regulatory uncertainty. The fear of regulatory reprisal is gone. Investors and exchanges can finally breathe easy. This newfound peace of mind encourages more robust participation, as stakeholders feel empowered to make long-term decisions. Like a seawall protecting a coastal town from unpredictable storms, this law creates a stable environment that encourages investment, innovation, and long-term planning. The market is no longer at the mercy of sudden legal shifts. Market confidence surges as the U.S. government signals a constructive, not punitive, approach to digital assets. This shift in tone reassures both domestic and international investors that the U.S. is committed to fostering growth and innovation. Mainstream adoption is now possible. XRP moves from speculative risk to a regulated alternative asset. Everyday people, businesses, and financial institutions can now consider XRP as a viable part of their portfolios. This psychological and legal shift makes XRP attractive to a wider audience, opening doors for education, innovation, and broader participation in the digital economy. Liquidity, stability, and maturity follow as more participants enter the market, and as trading volumes increase, the ecosystem becomes more resilient and efficient. The market is now driven by technology and utility, not fear. Developers and entrepreneurs can focus on building real-world solutions, knowing the rules are clear. The foundation for a new era of digital assets is set, paving the way for sustainable growth and responsible innovation in the years ahead. The future is built on clarity, not uncertainty. With the Clarity Act, the digital asset landscape is transformed, ushering in a period of confidence, opportunity, and progress for all. With XRP now a legislatively defined commodity, the focus shifts to spot XRP ETFs. The Clarity Act mandates the SEC to review all pending XRP ETF applications within 30 days, ending regulatory delays. The main barrier, XRP's legal status, is gone. ETFs bridge traditional finance and digital assets, making XRP accessible to all investors. Major institutions are lining up, and ETF approval could unleash a wave of institutional capital. Liquidity and market depth will surge, volatility will drop, and sustained demand will follow. Even a handful of ETF approvals would transform XRP's investment landscape. The journey from legal battle to mainstream adoption is nearly complete. The Clarity Act is the legislative capstone on Ripple's long legal battle. Court victories were important, but only legislation brings finality. Now Congress has validated Ripple's arguments and classified XRP as a commodity. Ripple can operate with unprecedented freedom, launching new products and attracting institutional interest. Financial institutions are preparing to offer XRP ETFs and use Ripple's payment technology. The final barrier is gone. Ripple can fully pursue its mission. This victory proves that responsible innovation and legal clarity can reshape an industry. Ripple's saga is now a story of resilience and building the future of finance on solid ground. The Clarity Act's momentum is already reflected in bullish market signals for XRP. Technical indicators show renewed optimism, with traders eyeing significant rallies. But the impact goes beyond XRP. It boosts the entire U.S. digital asset market. Other projects now have a pathway to commodity classification, unleashing new development and investment. The Genius Act for stablecoins further matures the ecosystem, allowing banks to participate safely. Clear rules for assets and stablecoins create a robust foundation for all crypto activities. The U.S. is now a global hub for blockchain innovation. A healthier, more sustainable industry is emerging. the future of digital assets in America is brighter than ever. The passage of the Clarity Act marks a historic turning point for the digital asset industry, not just in the United States, but around the world. Its impact is already reverberating across financial markets and regulatory bodies, setting a powerful precedent for how nations can approach the rapidly evolving world of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. Other nations now have a clear blueprint to follow, inspired by the U.S. approach. This paves the way for harmonized international digital asset markets, where cross-border transactions can be conducted with greater trust, transparency, and efficiency. The world is watching as the U.S. leads by example, encouraging global cooperation and regulatory alignment. For XRP, a digital asset specifically designed to facilitate seamless cross-border payments, this moment is especially significant. The clarity provided by the new legislation removes many of the barriers that have long hindered innovation and adoption in the crypto space. With global regulatory alignment, compliance becomes more straightforward for companies and users alike. This opens the door to realizing the long-held vision of an Internet of Value, where money moves as freely and instantly as information does today. For the XRP community, this is more than just a policy win, it's the reward for years of belief, resilience, and patience. Early adopters and advocates who stood by XRP through uncertainty can now look forward to a future filled with new opportunities and growth. The Clarity Act transforms conviction into legislative reality, turning the hopes of innovators, investors, and visionaries into concrete progress. It signals that the government is ready to support responsible innovation and foster a thriving digital economy. As the U.S. closes the chapter of regulatory ambiguity, a new era of legitimacy, creativity, and technological advancement begins. Entrepreneurs and developers are now empowered to build with confidence, knowing the rules of the road are finally clear. For XRP, the long winter of uncertainty is over. The path to global adoption is now open, with the promise of faster, cheaper, and more inclusive financial services for people everywhere. The legal battles are finally behind us, the technology is ready to scale, and the world is watching closely to see what comes next. The stage is set for a new wave of innovation and mainstream acceptance. The United States has at last provided a clear and decisive answer on the future of finance, embracing digital assets as a cornerstone of tomorrow's economy. The next chapter for digital assets and for XRP begins now, filled with hope, ambition, and the promise of a truly interconnected global financial system.